Hello everyone and welcome to the Good Old Gamer. So I hope you guys are having a great Monday. We got a bunch of news to go through here today. We have some information about laptop RTX 3080 Ti performance, as well as Alder Lake performance that is looking very, very strong for anybody out there interested in picking up a brand new laptop. And we also have information about Intel Arc. Actual slides are now leaking, showing us exactly where these GPUs are going to be coming in. Technically, it's for a laptop, but I would assume it's going to translate over. But we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. We also have GPU prices going down. We're definitely going to be talking about that and crypto, as that has definitely been the biggest factor over the past year. And I'm just really glad to see that things might be getting better. So we got all of that plus a little bit more here today. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so kicking things off with the laptop stuff, NVIDIA's GeForce RTX 3080 Ti laptop GPU gaming performance teased. So this came out from Hardware Canucks. The official release date is tomorrow, but they sent up some sponsored benchmarks. I wanted to just touch on this real quick because if you are in the market for a top-end laptop, maybe you said, hey, I'm tired of discrete graphics and all that nonsense, but I want something fast. This is actually going to be a pretty decent option for you, although it's going to cost a lot of money. Now, since these are sponsored numbers, even the article says take these with a grain of salt, but we can see here compared to last generation's flagship laptop graphics card, the 2080 Super, we're seeing significant performance improvements with the RTX 2080 Ti, or 3080 Ti rather. Now, this is the part that I personally find interesting and probably gives us a glimpse into what we're going to be seeing from the 3070 Ti on the desktop side. With the RTX 3080 Mobile and GA104 GPU, NVIDIA could only go as high as 6144 cores. That's basically the same as the 3070 Ti on desktop right now. The RTX 3080 Ti for laptop, on the other hand, features a brand new GA103S. So this is the GA103 that we heard about well before Ampere came out. So I'm glad to see that this actually does exist. In this compact version designed specifically for laptops, it's equipped with 74 24 CUDA cores and 16 gigabytes of GDDR6 and 256 memory bus by default. Personally, I honestly think this is what the 16 gigabyte 3070 Ti will end up being. That's the main reason why I wanted to bring this up for you guys, because more than likely that is the spec we will see, just with higher clock speeds. Now, even more good news for laptop out there, if you're looking at going with Intel versus AMD, Intel's new Alder Lake CPUs are doing really well. The Core i5 12500H and i7 12700H benchmarks are out. Just taking a quick look at the chart here, we can see the 5800H is at the bottom of the stack. We have the i9 11980HK. It's just a stupid name there. But anyways, that one's typically falling in the second place slot. The i5 12500H, interestingly enough, is actually beating out the 11908 or 980HK, as well as the 5800H by about a few percentage points here and there. So it's not a big deal, but this is a mid-range CPU now beating out last generation's top tier CPUs in the mobile department. And then you have the i7 12700H coming in at about 20 to 25% faster, depending on which way you want to go. Either way, this is actually looking really, really good for Alder Lake in laptops. So if you're looking at getting a high-end 3080 Ti, right now, this might be the way to go. Of course, we want to see where Rembrandt lands, which I believe will be more competitive, but I think either one of these will be good and will be better than using an older CPU from last generation with such a powerful graphics card. And speaking of graphics cards, we're just going to take a quick look at the RTX 3050. It gets its first 3D Mark scores, and basically it's GTX 1660 Ti performance with DLSS and ray tracing. So that's actually what I was expecting from the start. Some people started saying maybe 2060 level. No, probably not. 1660 Ti, if you want to think about it from Pascal era, is basically a 1070, and the RTX 2060 is basically on par with it. 1080, so that's about a 30% gap there. Now, obviously, there will be some overlap, but assuming this card comes in at that level of performance, which it is showing in TimeSpy here, that means the 3050 is basically going to be the same card at essentially the same MSRP, just with more features and more RAM. Now, this is better than what we got from the RX 6500 XT, But at the same time, it's still not great that we're seeing no performance per dollar improvement, nothing significant anyway. So yeah, this card is also not going to be $250, let's be honest. But realistically, past $300, this card just doesn't make sense for anybody to buy, because then you're just about as bad as the RX 6500 XT at that point. Alrighty guys, so here's the good news. GPU prices are finally beginning to decline, and I will actually show you this in real world here in just a second. So Ampere and RDNA 2 cards are slowly becoming cheaper. So we're just going to click on this price trend chart here, and as you can see, they ticked up and they're starting to go on their downswing again. And this makes a lot of sense. Crypto is going down, consumer confidence and a lot of things are going down, inflation's going up, people are having issues. There's a lot of economic factors involved. The Federal Reserve Bank not just letting people have money willy-nilly. Lots of things going on here. As we know this is tied to crypto, I do just want to show you guys the price of Ethereum today. As of right now, is sitting down 7.42%. Now, this has been jumping between about $2,200 and about $2,500 for the past few days. It peaked on up over the weekend, which makes sense. It had a huge drop late last week. So a lot of the moon boys said, hey, I think it's going to go back up. And then today it crashed right back down. Now it's back in recovery. And this is probably the pattern we're going to be seeing. It's going to go up, it's going to go down, it's going to go up, it's going to go down. But at the end of the day, if we go to, let's say, the 6-month trend, it's going to keep going down. Okay, so it might tick up a little bit here and there, but anybody who can see a chart would understand that this is what's going to happen. The only thing that could change this is if here in the United States, the Federal Reserve Bank decides to just keep printing money like crazy and keep interest rates at zero or possibly even go negative to stem off any possible recession. If that happens, this will go up because there's just more money in circulation and, well, obviously the dollar is going to be devalued. So there's only two options here. You either hope this goes up and the US dollar tanks and gets completely obliterated, or you hope this goes way down and the dollar strengthens, which, me being in the United States, I hope the dollar strengthens. So we're all going to have our biases on that one. Now, to actually take a look at graphics cards, we're going to check out nowinstock.net. There's one particular one that I wanted to kind of highlight here, and the only RTX 3060 that I've seen in stock regularly is this PNY Revel Epic X over here at Best Buy. This is typically in stock a lot of the time, but the price on this actually went up here recently. As you can see now, they're selling it at $649.99. But all through the holiday season, when mining and everything was at its peak, this was $619. Now, that was bad enough considering this is a single fan, like ITX version card that they were selling at a ridiculous price point. That's why they were in stock. But I just want to highlight that these are actually going up. Now, on the AMD side, things are definitely a lot different for AMD, and we all knew AMD's prices were going to drop first because they're less interesting for miners, and honestly, for gamers, they're just less interesting, well, always have been. So yeah, taking a quick look at the 6500 XT that just came out, it warms my heart to see these things rotting on shelves. So as you can see here, every single version that is in stock is over the $199 MSRP. You have $299, $269, and $279. And these are just sitting there. Nobody is buying these cards, and that is a good sign, considering last generation, this card cost $169. It was $100 cheaper for the same price, same performance, and technically the last gen card had more features. So these will have to go down in price considering this card just launched and they're still not selling. The 6600, however, which is a pretty solid card, especially at the right price point, is seeing price reductions. As you can see here, we have the XFX Speedster Swift 210. It's just an awful name. That does not roll off the tongue. Anyway, this one's still in stock at $552 US. That's where these were about a month ago in price. That's why nobody's buying this. Now you can see here, we have a brand new one from MSI coming in at $479, and the MSI Mech 2 has been in stock for quite a while at $459. And you could have bought this all week long. I've seen people promoting it, and they're still there. People aren't buying these even at this price point, which is about $100 less than they were about a month ago. That's pretty significant, and the longer these stay in stock, the more likely they are to also drop in price. All right, so jumping on over to the 6700 XT, as you guys can see, there's tons of these in stock, and typically they've been going for about $1,000, and you can see they're just sitting there on store shelves. You got a few of them around $950. They're trying to nickel and dime all the way down, but you have some right now at $899, so that's about $100 off from where they were. And then you still got one at $199, and you still see all of these guys here near the $1,000 mark just sitting there, but still at this point, since you can just go out and buy one of these at $899, that means that everything priced above that is basically irrelevant at this point. Just like I was saying with the rest of them, hopefully we'll start seeing in the $799 cards, and then they will continue to go down as things go. And for AMD cards, this seems to be the trend over the past month or so. They're going down slowly, like $50 here, $100 there, but they're staying in stock even at those reduced prices. So with any luck, we will go ahead and get these at or near MSRP here in the not too distant future. And then to wrap things up, after the good news, more interesting and good news, Intel's Arc Alchemist Mobile to feature 5 SKUs and 4 memory configurations up to 16 gigabytes of G6 at 16 gigabits per second. Okay, so this is, or at least this looks like an official slide. This is a leak, so I do have to preface that, but this is usually how we get Intel information. A little bit before they launch, we get slides leaked. So I want to go ahead and pull this up for you guys. So we have the SKU 1, which is 512 EUs, and this one right here has 8 VRAMs, so 256-bit bus, 16 gigabit. You have max bandwidth, 512, 16 gigabytes of memory. So that one right there, that's the big boy. That's the one that we've been expecting for a long time. Like I said, I've been hearing that we're not going to see a 512 EU version on the desktop, but if it's going to be in mobile, we're going to see it eventually on desktop. Okay, and then SKU 2, they're cutting it all the way down to 384 EUs. This seems a little strange to me considering these are the same die. So for example, going from 512 to 256, there's no way it's that damaged. There is no chip in the world that is going to be that defective. Seems a little strange that they didn't make another SKU around the 256 EU and then maybe do like a 192 defective, as that would add in another spot here. Even going down to 384 is a bit of a jump. I figured it'd be 512, 448, and then 384 because you could fit those SKUs in there. Anyways, regardless, SKU number 2 here, this one's coming in with 6 VRAM chips, 16 gigabit per second, 384 gigabytes, and 12 gigabytes of memory. So this would be pretty similar to what we're seeing with the 6700 XT. And all right, cool. So if it performs anywhere near a 6700 XT, that'd be great. But that's kind of what we're expecting from this one on the desktop side, by the ways, guys. Obviously, this is meant for mobile, but I'm not as familiar with mobile stuff. So I'm just going to be talking about desktop. SKU 3, the 256 EU version, 4 VRAMs, 128-bit, 16 gigabytes, gigabit per second, 256, and this will be an 8 gigabyte card. Now, this is more looking like a $200-ish graphics card to me, because you have the 128-bit, 8 gigabytes of RAM, maybe $250. Performance-wise, I'm not even going to venture a guess, but it just seems strange that they're going to cut down probably a $400 to $500 SKU all the way down to probably $250. Basically cutting it in half in terms of price as well, I would assume. But anyways, at least it's going to be 8 gigabyte. And then on the entry-level cards, we are expecting 4 gigabytes of RAM. So anybody out there that was thinking maybe these are going to be 6 gigabytes or 8, well, on laptop, they're going to be 4. More than likely, these will also be 4 on desktop, as it only has a 64-bit bus, only 2 VRAM chips. It doesn't make a lot of sense to use 4 gigabyte and 4 gigabyte VRAM DIMMs on a graphics card this cheap, because they will cost a lot more money. Instead, just doing 2 gigabyte and 2 gigabyte makes a lot of sense. This is obviously going to be the 6500 XT competitor. If they're priced appropriately, it'd be just fine. For example, if this is $150 and this one's like $110, that would make the 6500 XT completely irrelevant. Even though it has obviously the lower memory bandwidth and all that sort of stuff, this is still going to be probably competitive in that range, I would assume. But this is just going to come down to pricing. And then for mobile, these are obviously going to be very low power and fit in those thin and light laptops. So it's looking very interesting to me. So to me, that's the most interesting part. Now that we have a definitive lineup for the mobile chips, more than likely these are going to translate right over to the desktop, just with higher clock speeds and higher TDPs. So the performance-wise, we don't have any ideas. I do find it a bit interesting that we're getting a 64-bit card on the low end from them, much like we saw with the 6500 XT. maybe they're going to learn their lesson from AMD. AMD is, as I just showed you, not able to sell 6500 XTs at the price points that they want to. So Intel might just be like, hey, we're going to put these out there on the super cheap for everybody who's just like dying. They just want a card on the cheap and wait this thing out. Obviously, by the time these launch, I think things will be significantly better than they are today, though. So for Intel, the smart move is to get these out as fast as they possibly can, like next week, if possible. Now, granted, it's probably due to drivers, as I've mentioned before, that they can't get these out fast enough. But if they got these out, let's say in the next month or so, and we're talking about $150 to $100 on the lower end chips, let's say there's at least the better ones as fast as a 6500 XT, has media encoding, has proper PCIe bandwidth, I think that would completely eat the lunch of AMD. And we know that the 3050, even though it's only a 1660 Ti with RTX features, that card's going to sell for a ton of money for a long time. That's actually a card that a lot of more entry-level NVIDIA fans have been wanting. So like if you wanted those features, you don't want to spend a ton of money, this is going to be the card to get. However, once again, because it's going to be in such high demand, I think that those are basically going to be $400 plus until things really start clawing back. Basically, Intel and AMD are going to be at or below their MSRPs before NVIDIA even comes close to MSRPs, in my opinion. It's just from what I'm seeing. Like I said, I showed you guys the 3060 technically going up in price. I think it's either the storefront, so Best Buy, or the AIBs, or could be NVIDIA themselves. I think they know that this train is about to end, and they're just trying to get the absolute maximum amount of money out of you guys as possible. So they're like, well, just raise prices now. We can always take it back later. Well, they sold out at $649, so I guess it worked out for them. If you guys have made it this far without buying graphics cards at heavily inflated prices, just wait. Just give yourself 4 to 6 more months, and you should see something really good. Like I said, the reason why I'm so hyped up for Intel is because it's going to bring in that extra competition. Right now, we basically have a monopoly in the discrete graphics market. AMD's there, but they're not a real competitor. Let's just be honest about it. They're no competitor to NVIDIA. They offer products, they just haven't been that compelling relative to their competition. They'll become more compelling when the price gap widens. If you can get something like an RX 6600 for $350, when an RTX 3060 is like $500 or $600, then the AMD cards look real good. And this is what Paul and I and everybody out there have been saying for a long time. AMD just needs to price their stuff 25 to 30% lower price to performance than NVIDIA, and they will always look good. They just decided not to do that this time and made themselves look bad. So yeah, I'm super excited. Intel will come in there. I think Intel's smart enough to read the market and be like, yeah, all right, that's all we have to do now to go ahead and start gaining significant market share. So I'm very excited about this stuff, obviously. That's why I wanted to bring this video out to you guys. Very excited about that. And I want to chat with you guys about this over on the Techonomics podcast. You can join Paul and myself live. We go live twice a week, usually Wednesday or Thursday in the middle of the week, and then every single Saturday. This Saturday, we're hoping to have Brian from Tech Yeah City join us. We're still trying to work out the details, but it's planned, but just not confirmed yet. But I'm really excited to get him on. He did a great video. If you haven't seen it, he was basically explaining why the 6500 XT is such a failure. And I really liked his take on that, and I'd love to talk to him about that. So I'm really looking forward to that conversation. So if you haven't subscribed, click the link in the description below. And of course, I want to see you guys there. We want to be answering your questions. So alrighty guys, before we wrap up, let's check out the good old game of the day. So if you've made it this far into the video, I want to thank you for that. Now, this is a good old game that I've recommended many times on the channel, but it's officially out. I did make a post, but Star Trek Armada and Star Trek Armada 2 are available now for the first time digitally ever on GOG. Now, if you guys have been watching the Techonomics podcast, I was bitching a lot about getting Star Trek Armada 2 up and running on modern PCs. It was a real pain in the ass, but I was able to do it. It took about 4 months. Now you can just go on GOG and spend $7.99 and just play the game, no problem. So that is the preferred method, and I strongly recommend you do that, especially right now since they are discounted. Links are down below if you want to pick either of these games up. Well, alrighty guys, that'll do it for me here today. I do want to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. I want to talk with you guys live and in person. So this week we will probably be doing Wednesday. But once again, just subscribe over there. We put up a couple hours in advance when we're going live. So it'll be Wednesday or Thursday. I want to talk to you guys about this stuff. We should have 50 information. The reviews should be out then, so we'll have more information about that. And then we will give you guys an update on where we're at getting Brian on the channel on Wednesday or Thursday. So really looking forward to that. And that's all I have for you guys here today. And I will catch you guys in the next video.